We're going to take you to the ANC's press briefing in the North West, and we'll come back with analysis after.
Today, unfortunately, due to pressing commitments of the IPC, particularly the IPC coordinator, we are unable to convene the press briefing. My name is Kenny Morolong. I'm the ANC spokesperson in the Northwest Province. I'm with the IPC coordinator, Comrade Kamani Chauke, who is going to read the statement of the IPC in the wake of the provincial conference, which has started and which will commence in earnest tomorrow. Comrade Chauke.
Thank you very much and good evening. Already our apologies have been conveyed by Comrade Kenny. Let me take this opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, to read the statement of the African National Congress in the Northwest. The African National Congress in the Northwest Province wishes to confirm its readiness to hold the 9th Provincial Conference after a lengthy process of rebuilding and the renewal of the African National Congress. The complex journey towards realizing unity, renewal, and rebuilding. Even though it is incomplete, it continues to bear the requisite results. It is our collective hope that the conference will emerge with unity, cohesive, and renewal of the African National Congress in the Northwest Province. The National Executive Committee of the African National Congress appointed the leadership in the form of interim provincial committee in August 2019, which was presided by the provincial task team in 2018. The rebuilding process was a lengthy and tedious process which was primarily aiming at ensuring that the ANC forges ahead with the renewal project and fundamental change, changing the lives of our people for the better. The magnitude of the task facing the IPC was compounded by the state of our municipalities and the recent Auditor General's outcome as an indicative barometer of the challenges facing our municipalities. The rebuilding process was affected by the breakout of COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, which caused havoc across the globe, and our country was not spared from the ramifications brought by the pandemic in South Africa. Compounding these challenges, we had hard lockdown regulations which were meant to save the lives. As we tried to overcome the effects of the pandemic, we were immediately called upon to contest local government elections in 2021. It has been a few months since these elections, and the dispute, despite having suffered decline in electoral support, we have managed to win the majority of our municipalities in the province. Of the 23 municipalities, the ANC won 20, and the 3 Aheng municipalities with ANC-led coalition in the HAM. The outcome of these elections challenges us to do better to expedite the delivery of service to our communities. We have been crisscrossing this province to prepare for more than 316 qualified branches for the provincial conference, which will be held followed by the regional conferences. We have ensured that our provincial conference does not convene with disputes and appeals unresolved. The Provincial and the National Dispute Resolution Committee have concluded all dispute resolution processes, and this conference will convene without any of the disputes or appeals unresolved. The conference will, amongst others, discuss policy proposals emanating from the recent held provincial and national policy conference of the African National Congress. Registration for conference began earlier today, and it will continue until this evening. There will be no further registration of delegates after the evening. We expect over 1,200 voting and non-voting delegates. This number accounts for over 800 voting delegates, and the remainder are non-voting delegates. The conference will begin in essence tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. and will conclude on Sunday. we are confident that the conference will achieve all its intended objectives. We are confident that the 9th Provincial Conference will be a resounding success for the African National Congress in the Northwest Province. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Comrade Coordinator. We are now going to allow a round of questions. If there are any questions. Are we content?
SABC, who's going to be opening the conference tomorrow, and can you also confirm if the president will close it?
Okay.
Are you aware about a group of disgruntled ANC members who are planning to interdict the provincial conference? How will this impact the affairs of the proceedings going forward?
Okay.
With the SABC, I heard that you said that the rebuilding and renewal and the unity project or process has been lengthy. I'm not by any means suggesting a consensus leadership, but I mean through renewal, we think that ultimately all in Sandri who will be contesting, you will end up having maybe with 3 candidates contesting for the leadership. Out of 4 regions, we are told there are 7 contestants that will be contesting. How then do you imagine a united province out of so many contestants? And as I said, I'm not suggesting that maybe you should come up with a consensus leadership, but I mean, I would think that after your renewal and unity project, at least you will have a consensus in terms of having fewer numbers of contestants as opposed to having almost a dozen.
Thank you very much, Ndru. Next.
Ananias Ndlovu, Naledi News. Chair, SIPC, I know you'll be handing over Mara, the newly elected delegate. So I just want to check with you as IPC, because there are outstanding service providers that you owe. What about them? Including us, by the way. Yes,
we owe you
94,000 as community leader. So what about us? What happens to that amount? Because we read an advert for ANC in community newspapers, and we are still not paid now. So what happens to us after this?
Okay. What a question. Can you take the last one?
With UFM. This very media briefing took forever to happen. I'll pause from you so you can give. I'm saying this media briefing is one example of many things that you don't seem to get right, that have resulted in countless delays. How concerned are you that this is reflecting on your brand as a governing party, to say you can't even convene a meeting of your own among yourselves on time and get everything running smooth? And what caused these delays?
Okay. No, thank you very much, colleagues. Let me try and deal with the last question, the final question, and I'll refer all other questions to the IPC coordinator. This morning we engaged journalists, and we said to them that there's a need for them to register timelessly, because we wanted to avoid a registration mayhem. Because if we had not allowed you to register on time, you would not be able to gain access to conference facilities in their different ways, registration, this facility and so on, which you will not be able to gain access to tomorrow. So part of the reasons, and there are many others, why we elected to postpone this press briefing was to allow you to register and allow you in your numbers to register, so that we do not have a journalist on the street who is supposed to be part of this conference unregistered. So we apologize, but we don't think it's a reflection on our ability to lead. We thought that it was thoughtful of us as leaders to provide space for you to register, and so that you are able to report from a point of comfort rather than reporting on the street. Some of you would not have been able to be part of this press conference. We, however, apologize quite profusely.
No, thank you very much. We just to follow up on Edmond, what Comrade Kenny has responded to. Correctly, we have identified key role players in terms of this conference to be registered in time, and correctly, media is one of those that we had to make sure that, I think even yourself, you know that for the first time you'll have such a wonderful, beautiful press conference for the first time in many years. We are ready to make sure that all of you are here. But then many other stakeholders, your police people will be providing services at the center here, the civic center here. So we have prioritized all of you, even before our delegates themselves, to make sure that, because normally in many conferences you'll find that especially journalists are left outside most of the time. And I think it's something that we must all applaud, and as we apologize at the same, but it's something that we must applaud. Let me deal with issues of deaths. Obviously, the movement has challenges across, not only in the Northwest, I think even national and many other provinces of the ANC. We have challenges of resources, obviously, with plans that we have put in place, making sure that there are proper check and balances in terms of what we raise and who's helping us. There's legislation now that even limits how political parties must be funded and all of that. Currently, we operate with support from our members, support from our councillors who are paying levy every month, our members of parliament, MECs, premiers, and everybody, they pay levies. And these levies, obviously, we use them to pay for salaries and programs of the African National Congress out of that, because we don't have a direct funder. We don't run ANC as a business, so we don't make any profit. So it's a challenge. But I think as we move forward, together with National, we'll find a solution to help the party how it can really raise money and continue relying on its members. In terms of debts, we have been paying debts as far as before the IPC was even established in the Northwest. You know that there's another debt that we're dealing with, including your account, a community radio station that is part of the debts that we have to settle. The incoming IPEC will take responsibility, because when we leave office, we'll hand over a report in terms of the work done, and in that report again, we'll identify areas that need to be attended by the incoming PEC, and so those areas will include the monies that we owe to some of the service providers in the province here. Right? Now, on issues of who's going to attend a conference and address, in a normal practice of the African National Congress and the deployment, therefore, of conferences, we currently being informed that the NEC, especially the officials, are the ones that get deployed, and we can confirm, because the Deputy President will be opening our conference. And we are very excited, by the way, to have the Deputy President opening our conference. And I think as time goes, we'll inform you who's going to close our provincial conference. But the Deputy President will be here to address delegates, including membership of the African National Congress, supporters of the African National Congress, and communities in the Northwest. We're really looking forward to welcome and to host him. The issue of leadership and 7 candidates. You see, one of the things that we try and do was to kill the slate politics, where you find a group, one group, and another group. This time around, and all of these comrades who have raised their hands are comrades who know that they've been nominated by branches of the ANC. They are nominated by branches of the ANC and they are available. And there's nothing wrong to be available. Rather than to organize in a slate form where a group of comrades will sit, discuss without giving the opportunity to the branch, sit and discuss who's going to be the chair, who's going to be the secretary, who's going to be the whatever, and deny an ordinary branch of the ANC to express itself. That is why the results of 7. But that conference of yours, delegates, as they interact, engage, they will come up with a solution. They will come up with those that they believe will lead the African National Congress in the province, right? So part of renewal was to kill all of this late politics in the province. That is why you can look at some of these identified so-called ready-to-lead candidates. You don't see any other people around them because they all know that they come from a nomination that either they've observed, either the branch has called them to say, are you available, want to nominate you for a particular position, and they say they avail themselves because anyone, any member of the ANC has the right to stand and to be elected and to campaign for himself or herself, right? So the renewal will give us these results. You saw it in KZN at some point before conference, there were about 5 groupings there. Why do we have a problem here with the 7 individuals, not even groups? Here it's individuals who are standing. In other areas you saw a slate concluded. So here we are saying that the African National Congress, branches of the ANC must express themselves. And I think these are the results, but the outcome is going to be an outcome that is going to give you a collective leadership coming from ordinary branches of the African National Congress without any other influence.